What, no car again? Okay, so last time I talked about how, my service experience went really well. And not going to talk much about service anymore, going to try to hit the road. Well, it's a little bit of both. A friend of mine from North Dakota had his car being repaired at the Eden Prairie Service Center as well. Only he had a little bit of an issue where a part was supposed to come in last week, and he came down from North Dakota with his family, and that repair just didn't happen while he was here, so they had to go back. But they have an infant child, so rather than making them come back or him come back and that hassle, my brother and I decided we needed a road trip, so we're going to drive the car back up to them in Williston, North Dakota. So we're going to pick it up today, drive it up there tonight, and then come back tomorrow. So Friday night overnight and Saturday driving back. So we'll be taking two Teslas, my 2015 Tesla Model S 85D, and their 2019, I believe, Tesla Model 3. So new experience for me driving a Model 3 for that long, but if we're getting a Model Y pretty soon, then it's a good experience to get behind the wheel of that and really get a feel for what dealing with the center screen is going to be like. I spent the morning packing up and just got the call that they're going to be ready to go this afternoon, so we're going to get the cars, get them all charged up here. Then when my wife gets home tonight, I'll pass my daughter off to her, and my brother and I will hit the road and try to be as quick as we can safely, but it'll be nice to get some miles on and have that experience with the Model 3. So let's fast forward to the future where we actually have the cars. Well, the Model S is charged up to about 96%, and the Model 3 was about 60% roughly, I'd say, when we picked it up a couple hours ago. So just gonna top that off while we're waiting to head out, and about to take off in probably an hour and a half. Hopefully we can still take off with some sunlight and get on the road. One thing I didn't realize when we picked up the 3 was that it has winter tires on it, which is expected, but also studded winter tires, so we'll have to see how that affects the efficiency. I don't really have a good handle on the Model 3 efficiency because I don't drive one every day, but I assume that's only gonna slow us down, but it should do fine because its internals are far more efficient than the 2015 Model S. But that's where we are right now, a little status update, and almost ready to hit the road. Michael is now in the lead. I'm kind of excited about this trip because I never get to have footage of my own car. Made it to Alexandria. Sorry about the audio. I kind of forgot to record something here. So we are just about ready to take off, unplug and go. We got talking and making sure Michael was set up in the Model S. So we'll talk to you in Fargo. That's our next stop. Beautiful Fargo, I believe around 10:30 at night, and we have been here probably 10 minutes. Really open roads, simple drive, the weather's not bad. I think it's still above 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe the changes that were done, either it's the alignment or the new fixed parts on the front end of the Model S, seem to be making it run far more efficient than it has in the past. Definitely in the last few times I've tested it. So I'm feeling really good about that. And the Model 3, even with the winter tires with studs in them, is so efficient. I can't believe it, going from the older S to the 3. And it charges so fast. It's staggering. I never had a problem with the speed with the older Model S's, but obviously you wish it could be faster. But with the Model 3s, especially on these V3 chargers, it's literally walk in, use the restroom, grab a snack, get in the car, and go. I've been really surprised. I can't imagine how efficient this is in the summer. The difference isn't that big of a deal when I'm with the family, because obviously my daughter takes a little more time to get in and out of places, but as she gets older and we get more efficient, it'll be great to have a vehicle that can do those speeds too. Also, it's kind of amazing the difference between the user interface. Obviously, the Model S is MCU 1, Autopilot 1, very slow interface. The visualizations of Autopilot are fine, but not nearly as slick or efficient as what I'm seeing on the Model 3. It's a very similar experience. You can tell that's like the grandfather of this, but it's a vast difference in user experience. Getting used to the stalks being on the different sides, where you engage Autopilot using the drive stalk. On the Model 3, it's on the opposite side on a completely separate stalk on the older Model S's. And so it takes a little learning, getting a different muscle memory, using everything on the center screen. But it's also really cool to have what almost feels like a picture window in your house that you're sitting in front of, with nothing in front of you on the dash. And you just have clear, open, wide view of the road. And that's really great. So a little different experience, but so far I'm really enjoying it. The Model S is going to take a little bit longer to charge here, so we're going to kick back in the seats and try to get a few winks before continuing on to Jamestown, I believe, is next. So we'll see you on the road. Jamestown, North Dakota, at the home of economy. 32 degrees out as we charge up here for a little bit. I'm gonna have to unplug this one 10 to 12 minutes before he's done. But it is almost 1 in the morning, so we are going to lay back and try to catch some Z's. This is one I'm gonna call the super flattering shot. I tried to lay down and get a little sleep, but just kept getting real close and then not making it. So hopefully in Bismarck, which is our next stop, I'll be able to get maybe an hour of sleep at that point. But it's brisk, and I'm gonna get back in the car. Still very impressed with how fast the Model 3s charge. One thing about this stop is there are no restrooms immediately available overnight. Across the road there is a Shell station, but it's kind of a walk. We're going to hit that along the way, getting back on the road. crap is green. Just plugged in at Bismarck and got up to 52 kilowatts just a second ago, but 146, 145 is still pretty good, pretty quick. So we're gonna try to get a quick nap in here so we are sane. All right, good morning. It is about 3:30 in the morning, Bismarck time. Well charged up here, almost to 90%. I just checked the Model S and that's still only at 60%. So he is still sleeping over there. It's very surreal to get out of your car and see your own car. Just got a little bit of sleep here. He's still sleeping. May as well. Probably need to be here another 10 or 15 minutes for him just to be safe. You want a newer vehicle if you want a speed run. If you need to take the time to sleep at stops, you want an older Model S. Just an interesting problem, not a problem, depending on how you look at it. No restrooms in the closed down mall overnight here in Bismarck, so we will hit a gas station or something on the way back to the highway. That's all for now. Hopefully we'll be on the road soon and on our way to Dickinson. And welcome to Dickinson. We got here, well, there's a time change between Bismarck and Dickinson, so we got here about 4:15. It's now 5:25. I've unplugged the Model 3 at about 95% state of charge, and we're still giving a little more to the Model S because it's about 130 miles up to Williston, which is our destination. So I want to make sure that has a good healthy charge in it since we have to come back this way. This is another stop that's at a mall, and so any place with restrooms right nearby is closed. There was a construction site just about a block away, still within the mall complex, where there was a porta potty, so we were able to use that, and it was okay. It was open, so that worked out. So hopefully we'll be taking off in the next couple minutes. It's, like I said, almost 5:30 in the morning, and I think we're ahead of what I had expected schedule-wise. Hopefully we can continue to make good time. There's a Chatamo charger up in Williston, which should be good for a relatively fast charge, enough to get us back down here, back to the Supercharger network. We're about to get on our way and head up to Williston. Welcome to the Supercharger in Dickinson. We had a heck of a time getting down here. The Charger up in Williston was not working today. We gave it a couple of different tries and just wasn't happening. Although we got up to Williston relatively early in the morning, about 9 a.m., we weren't able to get the Chatamo working and do a quick charge up there. So that meant plugging into level 2 and waiting most of the day. Roland and his family were very gracious hosts, and we had a nice time, but instead of leaving around 11 or 12 like we expected, we left at about 4 p.m. By that point, the Tesla had only, the Model S, had only been charged up to about 62%. So we knew we would be cutting it close. We didn't know how close. As we drove south, we realized there was a massive north-facing wind, and we were driving right into it. Add to that the elevation changes, and by the time we were near the turnoff to Killdeer, we were way off on our miles to go compared to our miles of expected range. So we knew we had to do something different. So we took a detour. Rather than coming all the way south and then coming over on the freeway, we drove to Killdeer on kind of the side road and did that at about 45 miles an hour, letting people pass us as they needed to. It was not quick, but it was more efficient from an energy standpoint. By the time we went from Killdeer then south to Dickinson, we were in better shape, but still not all the way there. By the time we got to Dickinson proper, we were going 35 miles an hour and at 0%. So the last 3 or 4 miles we were at 0%, saying 0 miles of rated range. The limit on acceleration creeping closer and closer to 0. But we were able to pull into the mall just barely, and I wasn't sure we'd even have enough to back into the charging spot. But we did get here and started charging immediately and very quickly. We've now taken the time to stretch our legs a little bit because that was a long time in the car, and got a sub at Jimmy John's, just ate that. So now we're well charged up, probably close to 80% at this point, and we will be heading over to Bismarck. But we should be able to, despite the wind, do it pretty quickly and move on efficiently from here, now that we're back on the Supercharger network. When you have an experience like this, it really puts in perspective how important reliable quick charging is. And I'm sure that station has worked for other people, and that's great, but it really shines a light on how spectacular and reliable the Supercharger network is. When you barely make it back to here, and now we know we don't have to worry the rest of the drive because we can be on that network. So we need other infrastructure providers to really step up their game and have reliable and more than one units if they're going to put something in. We'll probably have more on that a little later, but that's where we are now. We're going to hit the road, take turns driving and sleeping, try to plow through and get back to Minnesota tonight. Still a very windy night, and we are in Bismarck. We've been here about 40 minutes. We could have left a few minutes ago, but trying to be able to keep our speed up, and I had some stuff to catch up on my phone before we moved on. Michael's going to sleep this round. I got about 20 to 30 minutes on the way here from Dickinson, and that felt pretty good. Raring to go on this leg, and just keep moving home. The wind is still here, and it is a little brisk, so we're going to unplug and get moving. I can't tell you what a great safety blanket it feels like to know as we were cruising down the freeway that we had a supercharger to go to. So really appreciating the Tesla network. Welcome to a chilly, windy morning in Clearwater, Minnesota. This is our last stop on the way home. We decided to stop here. There's a big truck stop and bakery, and we wanted to get some rolls and donuts to bring home since we are arriving in the morning. Overnight, everywhere we stopped was super windy. So we recorded some B-roll at the different places, but nothing too fantastic to say other than it's cold and windy and we're tired. So one would drive while the other one slept, and then when we were charging, we'd both kick the seats back and try to get a little rest there too. Because the wind was going into our face the whole time, our charging stops were a little longer, so we'd be sure we'd be arriving with enough charge and not run into the situation we did yesterday. But because we're on the Supercharger network, those were still relatively fast charges. We stopped in Alexandria just before sunrise and charged up there, almost enough to get all the way home, but I knew I wanted to stop here for donuts and things, so we left there a little early, but we knew we'd spend 10 to 15 minutes here using the restroom and getting the bakery things. So we're all charged up. Like I said, it's a little after 7:30 or about 7:30, and finally we've got some tree cover coming around us, so hopefully that cuts our wind down a little bit, but we've got more than enough charge to get home, so let's do it. home, and you just saw the stats up on the screen. And I just wanted to touch base a little bit more on the issue we had in Williston. I'm sorry there wasn't a lot of B-roll there. I was frustrated and trying to get it figured out. So I wish I would have taken the time and had the presence of mind to film more while we were there and show exactly what the fault was with the charger. But the Chatamo adapter we were using was Roland's, and he's used it before, and although my brother and I tried the first couple attempts to do it ourselves, we followed the protocols, and it didn't work. But then Roland showed up, and you know, like I said, he has done it before, and it wasn't working for him as well. So definitely a fault with the charger. And unfortunately, the number that was on the charger to call in case there was a problem just had a message. So Roland did leave a message saying, hey, call me back, we're here trying to charge, and nothing. So pretty disappointing. And like I said earlier, it's one thing to put chargers in, but they need to be working, and they need to have some sort of service structure so that when people need support, even if it's the middle of the night, which it wasn't for us, they can get that support. And I'm a big fan of everybody making the switch to EVs, at least for one of their two vehicles, or you know, whatever they can do. And it really, situations like that really make it hard to, you know, suggest that to someone who doesn't have 6 hours to spend at, you know, a level 2 charger. We need fast charging for, you know, people like us who did have the time, and, you know, people who are trying to get through a city or state quickly. That infrastructure needs to be there. And it makes me hesitant to suggest an EV for some people when I run into situations like that. And I want to be pro all EVs, even though I am a Tesla owner, but the reason I'm a Tesla owner, and so many people are, is because of the safety of the supercharger network. You know, there's going to be multiple stalls there, and they're going to work. Even if one fails, you can move over. Even if half of them fail, you can move over. There's a way to get where you need to go. In the rush and frustration of not being able to get the Chatamo adapter to work, I should have been a better EV citizen right away, logging onto PlugShare and making a note that this charger isn't working and recording what the fault was. It seemed to be a fault with the card reader, and as far as I could tell, there wasn't an app to try and activate it another way. So again, really disappointing. But since then, I have gone on to PlugShare and added that fault in there so people know. I should have done it right away, so someone else doesn't get stranded in the same situation. As you can see behind me, things have changed a lot in the last couple weeks since that trip. As I was putting the numbers up at the end of the video, I was thinking about how, you know, had the Chatamo adapter worked, we could have probably saved 4 hours. And had that Chatamo been a supercharger, we could have saved probably another 2 more. Then I got to thinking, with a Model 3 or a Model Y, we probably could have shaved another hour, maybe 2, off of our total charging time by just having a vehicle that can charge that much faster, especially on those V3s up in North Dakota. And in that vein, you're going to be seeing a lot more content on the Model Y very, very soon. One final thing that I didn't put nearly enough focus on was the graciousness and hospitality of Roland and his family. With the charging failure, we ended up staying at his house basically for that whole time while we waited for the slow charge. He took us out to breakfast to a little Turkish place called 3E Cafe and Pastries. The owner there, Sadiq Erkal, really set us up. We weren't quite sure what to order, and we had just a fantastic breakfast there. And like I said in the last video, made this hat and a couple shirts for us. And so I hope to work with him again on maybe some merch and things like that down the road. But he's also got a YouTube channel that he does daily or sometimes a couple times daily vlogs on, and so I'll link to his channel down below. And aside from breakfast, the hospitality, and the sweet swag, he also sent us away with burgers wrapped up that we could take along the trip, and that was really needed and took the edge off as we were doing that dicey drive back down to Dickinson. We'll definitely have to catch up the next time we're in North Dakota. I also want to send a quick apology to the other North Dakota EV and Tesla owners, because I know going 45, 35, 25 miles an hour on the highways and having all the trucks pass you is not going to be a great argument the next time you talk to somebody about switching to an EV. So I apologize for that. Didn't want to be that guy, but if it helps a little bit, we saw other cars on the side of the road that were all internal combustion engines, and some going slow with their flashers on the trip, and it just happens to all vehicles sometimes. We were able to quickly get out of it. It's amazing how when you're that low on charge, you feel like you're really struggling, and then you top up with the Supercharger and you feel like you could race anyone. So kind of an odd situation with EVs. But I also want to give a big thank you to my brother Michael for coming on this crazy trip with me. I really appreciate his willingness to jump in and go and be willing to go out in the middle of North Dakota and get stranded with me. For all the rest of you, thank you very much for watching and hanging out through this entire trip. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. And if you feel like you want to, please like, share, subscribe, all that business. But thanks a lot. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Lots of Model Y content coming soon.